Okay. Welcome back, everybody. The main theme that we're going to be focusing on for next couple of weeks, or maybe the remainder of the school year, is we're going to focus on the concept and idea of art therapy. Okay, so this will be like the same with all my classes across the board: Art One, Computer Graphics, Photography, and Miss Massey's ceramics. Okay, so what is art theory? So art theory is a specialized area of mental health that uses art materials and creative process to explore emotions, reduce anxiety, increase self-esteem, and resolve other psychological conflicts. Okay, so part of the reason why I decided to do art therapy as kind of like the main theme for like the next assignment or next project that we're going to work on is I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're dealing in the world now. Everything's pretty much like changed at this point. Um, like we're still like pretty uncertain on like what will happen in the future with school, and those of you that are going to college, how things will change with that, or even if you're like you're not going to college, you're trying to live on your own, find a job. Like everything's kind of like changed in the world right now, and it is creating feelings of anxiety, and just like we're uncertain of what's going to happen in the future. I want us to like kind of like just focus on art therapy, just because this will kind of help us with our like help us to kind of like express our feelings, and just like help us with our like mental health in a way. So I think this is a little bit more helpful than saying learning how to do like a perspective drawing, or learning something in Photoshop or Illustrator or something like photography. But we can incorporate these different arts with art therapy. So um, just some differences between art therapy and art classes. This is just like a general list of things that are different. But one thing that's different though is it's not going to be like a teacher instructor, but more of like therapist. um, it focuses more on therapeutic relationships. Let me use my pointer here. So focus a little bit more on relationships instead of student-teacher relationships. So you're focusing a little bit more on therapy. This is more confidential as opposed to doing work in a class and studio. So everything that you share in your artwork, and what you write, it is technically confidential, but there are going to be parts where I do want you guys to share and just talk with other people in class. But we'll like figure out like how we're going to do that though. But you are like a little bit more confined, just because we're not in a big class and we're not really sharing too much. Self-expression, that's something that's really big. Instead of like making art, we're still making art, but it's gonna be focused a little bit more on self-expression. So quality of work is not gonna be the most important. Art supplies are used as a tool for self-expression rather than it's used to complete a task. So basically with these two, the differences, we're using the tools are not to self-express rather than trying to do specific things with it. Here's a big thing: there's no right or wrong way of using the art materials, whereas there's techniques you have to focus on. So, and it's going to focus on more on process. So a lot of you guys know how big I am on process, learning, just the motions, and creating art rather than the final product that you create. Especially in my computer graphics class, I really talk a lot about process. And the artwork is used as a reflection and communication, whereas in an art class, you're focused a little bit more on principal designs and art elements. Okay, but kind of like the big thing between the two differences though is in art class, you're basically producing, creating a work of art, and you're focused a little bit more on the quality of the work, and making sure you meet these certain expectations. Like for example, if you're doing like a drawing of like a portrait of somebody's face, you gotta make sure like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, they all look correct to like the picture or the portrait that you're looking. That's not so important in art therapy. Art therapy, we're focused more on the what you communicate in your art, and also what you communicate, express, and also just making art. Because some people express their feelings or emotions through talking. Others do it through writing. Also, you can do it through like music and singing. We're going to do it through art. All right. So things to consider with art therapy. So just as me as the teacher, I'm not a professional art therapist. So I just want us to kind of like use the ideas of art therapy in our work of art. But still feel free to express feelings and concerns with me. You can do this through the emails or even within your artwork or your private comments too on Classroom. I want to know that you guys are doing well. And although we're not therapists, we can always share and listen to each other. So, there's just the whole idea of therapy, though, is just, kind of just like paying attention to like, how people are doing, how they're feeling, basically asking, like, how are you doing today? That's kind of like the most basic form of therapy is just asking, how you're doing. Because, when you express your feelings, you're letting it out. And, when you let things out, it's just like, better for your mental health, rather than having to keep things in, especially, since we're kind of like, not interacting too often with, you know, friends, people at school. I mean, some of you guys probably, keep in contact with like your close friends through like, text message and social media. But, there's probably like a lot of people that you talk with at school that you probably, haven't kept in contact with since, everything happened, when we had to leave school. But art can be expressing either negative or positive things going on in your life. So, a lot of things we think, a lot of these things that we talk about with therapy, though, it could be most of it's probably like negative things, but you can also talk about positive things too, because you also want to like think about um, the positive things in your life, because obviously things that may have changed in your life, some of it could be for the worse, but some of it could be also for the better, and that's kind of like what we're going to explore and try to find out in the work or assignments that we work on. Okay, and there's some takeaways from art therapy. So, in regards to expectations for the rest of the year, so this is like kind of like adding to it. I'm not going to be grading you guys on the quality of the artwork that you produce. Okay, and then participation is key to success. Participation and just trying your best. That's all I ask for. But again, I'm not going to be really grading you guys on quality of work. Um, since this is kind of like new for everybody, I'm going to try to treat like, what we're doing now as kind of like in the beginning of the school year. The beginning of school year, I was really big on, just trying our best, participating. Don't worry too much about making like really good artwork. Some of you guys, may not even have like a paper or pencil to work with. I don't know. You might have to like kind of like splatter paint on the wall to make art, but as long as you make art and you have a way of expressing it, that's kind of like the big thing with art therapy that I want you guys to focus on. So you guys will be creating art, and when we do move on to the assignments, so you guys will have like the options of using any type of art medium, whether it's sculpture, ceramics, drawing, painting, or even doing like stuff on the computer if you're able to access the program. Also, along with the artwork that we do, we're going to be doing reflective writing. So you can use any art medium that you want. So just to kind of show you some examples of like different types of art therapy, or like art being used for therapy. I was just gonna like just show you some examples of this. Like this is like sculpture, ceramics. Basically they use like these clay figures, and basically the art that they draw and paint, though, that's like what it is. So this is kind of like demonstrating like the feeling emotions of love. And this one's a really interesting piece. Somebody used they made a mask, and I want to say it's like they use like plaster and some newspapers too. They did some collaging and painting with the mask, but you can see like these feelings of like damage and escape, fall, home. So these words are like really, really powerful, and they do demonstrate like how the person's feeling, and also when we look at these artworks too, we can kind of like relate it to in a way, because in some cases we may have like feelings of parts of our lives where we feel like damaged, or things that we can't escape. For example, we can't really escape our homes and go to like the movie theater or the mall. This is kind of like like most people probably feel like right now with the coronavirus. Drawing and painting. So these are examples of drawing and painting. So like money, parents, work, health. These are like major concerns for this artist that drew this. And then this is kind of like a little bit more of kind of like how like a kid feels. I'm not really sure what this is about, but realize like the blood in the eyes though. So um, this is a really interesting graphic picture here. It's kind of like expressing like feelings that are like angry and mad. Also in photography too, you can also demonstrate it through that way as well. In this case, this one's kind of demonstrating something a little bit more positive. I know we kind of looked at a lot of negative ones, but this one's a little bit more positive. You can take photos of positive things, like for example, now with we're spending more time with family, doing things with your family that you wouldn't normally do. So it's like a nice picture of like the mom daughter making something in the kitchen. This one's kind of like demonstrating a little bit more about like struggles with what people are doing, or like the hardships of making art. So these are all like a lot of different examples of how you can express it. Photography, drawing, painting, sculpture, ceramics. So I do really want you guys to think about like what medium you want to use, and also think about like what you have access to make your artwork. The bare minimum. Just having pencil, paper, and pencil. That's fine, but you can use like anything though to make your art. Okay, so moving on to the assignment that I'm gonna have you do on Classroom. So when you guys load up Classroom, I didn't put it on Classroom yet, but you're gonna have this Google Docs that you'll click on, and these questions. I want you to answer these questions, but basically it's gonna be watching both the expectations video and the art therapy video. So this video that we're watching now, you're gonna use this as well. You can also refer back to the PowerPoint. So I'm gonna leave the PowerPoints open for you guys to just kind of like look at it quickly if you don't want to like kind of like look through the video. These questions are gonna demonstrate that you show your understanding of expectations, and also the major theme that we'll be focusing on for the remainder of the year. So number one, what is the primary expectation that is to be expected with each assignment? So number one, there was kind of like one main thing I was talking about that I expect you guys to do with all of your assignments. Two, how long should you spend on each assignment? This is like the bare minimum, but again, you guys can spend more time if you need. But there's like a bare minimum I had you guys keep in mind of. Three, what will you be checking in for your new assignments for class? So this isn't actually labeled anywhere though, but in general, you should know like when your elective classes, that's the kind of big hint, it's like the elective classes, when those new assignments will be posted. Four, how will you be graded for fourth quarter will have an effect on your final grade. Five, in your own words, what is art therapy? Okay, so don't copy what I had in the PowerPoint. Put it in your own words, like what that means to you. And there's not really a right or wrong answer to it. It's just, it's going to mean like something different for each person, what art therapy is. Six, even though you're not a professional art therapist, can you practice it? How? Seven, what medium do you plan on using for the art therapy project? And then why did you choose that? Okay, so again, the mediums, you can do anything you want with the main project work on. The first thing we'll probably do is we'll probably do like some thumbnail sketches or like some drawings. But when we work on the actual project, though, I'm gonna let you guys choose like what mediums you want to use. 8, do you have any questions about expectations or art therapy? What are they? So just let me know if you have any questions on that. 9, So 9 and 10 kind of like get a little bit more about like art therapy because I'm just kind of curious like what you guys think. So what is one thing that frustrates you about the pandemic? So I'll kind of answer this question just for myself. Like one thing that kind of frustrates me is I kind of really miss going out to restaurants to go out and eat. I know you can like order food out and pick it up, but I'm just kind of like a little paranoid of people like handling the food that are that made me sick. So, I've been just mainly just eating stuff that's been at home or going to the groceries to pick up food. Yeah, that's one thing I miss though, is just eating out. Because I'm just tired of eating the same thing over and over again every day. 10. What is one thing you find positive about the pandemic? So, even though there's a lot of negative things, there are some things that are positive. So, like, one thing I really like though is spending more time with my family, my wife, my daughter, my newborn son. I really enjoy this extra time with them, and also I noticed like the nature has been doing a lot better since it's not like carbon dioxide in the air. There's not really um, what's it called, like climate change happening too much because of like people aren't driving the cars out, factories aren't being run. So nature's being prosperous right now. It's actually like or like regrowing itself in a way. So just something that's positive, and then one thing that frustrates you about it, and then you could just answer the questions below. Okay, but these questions though, they'll be due next Friday. Okay, so you have like about a week to complete them. Okay, and just try your best on the questions, and yeah, that's all you have to work on for the rest of the week. All right, so hopefully everyone's doing well. Take care, everybody.